Hey everybody, it's Maddie from Mostly Maddie, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my page. We talk all things journals, planners, stationery, paper products, pens, all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you, then you are in the right place. And if you're not already, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any videos from me in the future. Today's video, I'm going to be doing an art journal with me, which is something new I've never done on a YouTube before. Usually all of my art journaling happens at night, and it is a way for me to kind of just unwind at the end of the day. If you watched my previous video where I did my flip through of my final creative journal, I mentioned in September that I had really started to get into more art journaling and collaging, playing with mixed media, that kind of stuff. So I want to take a little bit of a deeper dive and do a fun page using that style of journaling. I've always been a bit intimidated by art journaling, so it's been a slow go for me to kind of get my way and find my groove with it. Recently, I actually took a class with Craftsy where I got to learn more about different mixed media techniques. If you don't know what Craftsy is, it's an online community where crafters, makers, and DIY enthusiasts can find creative inspiration, take classes, advance their skills, or learn new ones. There's over 2,000 classes in categories like crocheting, knitting, painting, photography, and much more. Every class is broken down into easy to follow lessons, and they're led by award-winning instructors. Knowing I wanted to learn about new mediums and different techniques that I haven't tried yet, I found a class called Fun with Mixed Media Lively Paper Project. It was led by Rhonda Palazzari. As you can see, I took a lot of notes during the class, and I actually ended up running to the art store after I finished because I wanted to try some of the new things that she was talking about. And when I say new, I mean new to me because, like I said, art journaling is really a new practice for me, so I'm kind of starting from level 0. There were two things that she used that I was really interested in, which was gesso and masking fluid. I've also really been enjoying stencils lately, and she talked about how you can make your own stencils with something like a cereal box, which I just think is so cool. I do want to share a couple of recent projects I've done that I'm really proud of. I'm really grateful to Craftsy for sponsoring this video and giving me the opportunity to learn more about mixed media. If there's a new skill you're trying to learn, you can head to craftsy.com and get a premium membership for the first year for $1.49 for new members only. I've clearly been having a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to do this journal with me today. Journal I'm going to be working in today is my composition notebook, which I feel like I've talked about in a few videos. I just have so much fun in here, and because it was like a $3 composition notebook, I just feel no pressure to just get going and start putting paint down on the pages. I don't feel like I have to be precious with this, and I really like the size of this because it's a little bit bigger and it gives me more space to play. All right, enough yapping for me. I'm going to turn the camera around and we are going to go and get started. Okay, I'm in voiceover mode now because I did speed up a few parts of this video just so you didn't have to literally watch paint dry. The first thing I'm doing is applying the gesso. I really liked using this, especially on the lined side of the paper. I am somebody who really likes working with a dot grid notebook, so I have been trying to overcome the lines in here, and I just think the gesso is a great way to cover that up. I also like using it on scrapbook paper like right here because it kind of adds another dimension to the page. I don't always cover the scrapbook paper, but if I don't want it to stand out so much, it's a great way to just kind of mute it a little bit while still having it give that texture. And if I don't apply gesso, what I will do is on these lined pieces of paper is I'll cover them up with something else. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to be using a bunch of random scrap papers. I bought like this scrapbook pack and I have tons. There's like 100 of these little pieces of paper. And so I've been using them a lot in my art journaling. I think what I have found in the beauty of art journaling is there really doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason for doing anything. I kind of feel the same way when I do junk journaling. It's like really whatever I'm just feeling in the moment. And there's no way to really explain it other than just I'm going off of what feels good to me in the moment. It allows me to let go a little bit. And again, as a chronic overthinker for many, many years, this has been a skill that has taken me a while to kind of master. When I was watching the class, and I feel like, a lot of people say this when they're doing this style of journaling, is like, embrace the mistakes and just have fun. Try to just enjoy the process more than like the end product. And I know it's easier said than done, trust me, because I used to be a chronic overthinker. I've talked about that a ton on my page. It is really hard to let that go, but the only way you're going to get better at it is by practicing, like with anything. So the next technique that I want to try is using this masking fluid. I have heard of it, but again, it's one of those things that I've kind of been intimidated by. But once I watched the class, I realized it's Just really easy, and it's just kind of a fun technique to add to your pages. It does take a while to dry, so I put it on the right side of the page, and I'm going to continue working in here while I let that dry, just being very mindful to not bump into it. You could also use a hair dryer to speed up the process, but I figured by the time I was done with the rest of the page, it would be pretty close to being dry. I picked two colors that I wanted to use, and then I just started. I just started painting, really. And I think it's really fun to see what your brain comes up with. Like when I have a finished art journal page and I look back on it, it's really fun. It's really fun to just reflect on the page and be like, what was going on in my head while I did this? And to see what you can create. It's just really neat. I've talked about this Delusions shimmer spray a few times, and I just love it so much. It's been such an enjoyable thing to add, and so pretty much any chance I get, I use it. And I wanted to do some stencils, so I did some spraying with the stencils. It is challenging sometimes because it can, if you don't press down on the stencil hard enough, it can like bleed through. But again, because this is just like for fun, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, the last new thing I'm going to use in this spread, because this page is all about trying new things and different techniques and just seeing how it looks, is this molding paste. And I think next time I can definitely be like thinner with it. I used a lot, and it really just depends on how textured you want your page to be, I think. And I wasn't sure. Again, this is my very first time using this, so really fun to experiment and see what happens. And I really wanted to do like a dripping effect with my shimmer spray, but it didn't work as well as I wanted it to. But again, this page is completely about experimenting, so we're learning as we go. The only way I'm gonna find out what works and what doesn't is by testing things out, and you guys are here to join me along this ride. And if you have the time, I think something else that's really cool about this kind of journaling is taking your time, like laying a few layers down, walking away and coming back to it, whether it's the next day or within a few hours, and see how your perspective has changed, or you might see the page in kind of a new way. And I think that's really fun too. I know a lot of art journalers will do kind of like morning pages in their art journal where they'll literally just lay one layer down every day for a whole week, and then the end of the week they have this really cool thing that they created. And I really love that. I need the patience for that because I like to be done with what I'm doing in one sitting, but I think that could be a really fun morning practice that maybe I might try to implement moving forward. I'm using water soluble pastels right now, and basically it's like a crayon if it is dry, but then if you use water and activate it, it's more like a watercolor, and I just love the effect of how that can look sometimes. I have a ton of elements from Collage Soup, so I always like when I'm doing my art journaling to try and find a piece that I can incorporate into the page. At this point, I had started to kind of see a vision, like the yellow paint almost acted as like skid marks from the tires, and that's why I decided to grab the car. So while yes, it is kind of random and nonsensical, sometimes you start to get a vision in the middle of doing it, which, is really fun. And again, just cool to like see how your brain works and like what it comes up with when you're doing these kinds of things. And you can see I'm using a lot of different tools on this page, but that's because it was just super experimental. Like I'm using ink, I'm using Posca markers, the masking fluid, the molding paste, the Delusion sprays, the stencils, so many different things. You don't need all of that stuff, but because I just wanted to experiment on this one and see what happened, I kind of wanted to try a bunch of different things to see how it all looked together. I layered another piece of paper and used that gesso again to give it that kind of faded effect. I'd say if you're in any sort of journaling rut, my best advice is to always try something new, which is really how I ended up doing a lot more art journaling and collaging lately. I was just feeling really stuck in my practice, and I love to switch things up and to try new techniques, to try things that make me uncomfortable. I think the only way we can grow is by doing things that scare us or intimidate us. And now that I have that Craftsy membership, I'm also taking classes in different areas that are not skills I'm super familiar with. I obviously watched a bunch of different art journaling and journaling videos, but they have a ton of classes. And so I am really into photography. So now I started kind of watching some of their photography videos. I think it's just really fun to switch things up if you can. At this point in the page, I don't really know what was happening, to be honest with you. I was just trying to add some more cool elements, and I wanted to write in black letters, and so I wanted to add like some black paint to kind of add as like an accent on the page, if that makes sense. This page was really fun to do. I loved peeling off this masking fluid. I feel like if you are a picker, this is like a very fun activity. I think I probably could have let it all dry a little bit longer, but I am impatient, and so I just did it, and it kind of pulled on the paper a little bit, but it was really fun, and I really liked picking it all off. And that is the final look with the masking fluid. A very cool effect that I think I will be using a lot more of in the future. So I'm going to end this video by challenging you to try something new. It doesn't have to be a totally new hobby or craft. It can be something as simple as like what I did today and trying a new technique or a new medium that you don't normally use. Just something to get you outside of your comfort zone, and I want to see what you make. So if you make something that you're really proud of and you want to share it with me, please send it my way, or let me know something you learned while you were trying something new. And let's all get outside of our comfort zones and be brave. I finished the page by adding these lyrics because I just can't leave well enough alone. I think the hardest part of art journaling for me is figuring out like when to decide to stop, because you could really go for as long as you wanted, but at what point do you walk away from the piece and feel like it's complete? And this, when I write lyrics or a quote or something, I feel like that helps me make it feel like it's a finished page. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting my page. Let me know if you like seeing these art journaling style videos, and maybe I will add some more of those in the future. But I appreciate you all so much for being here, and I hope you enjoy this weird little creation that I made, and I hope that you get to make something weird and fun soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.